Hey Jackers, it's Jack. I'm back, and sorry for the long delay between videos. I got distracted by some other games. So yeah, sorry about that. It will happen again, trust me. I know me very well. But I'm back, and I'll be making videos again for a while before another shiny new game comes out. So the rules will stay the same as the base run, where my only source of damage will be frenzy incantations. With all that being said, leave a like if you liked, comment to comment, and subscribe to be a subscriber. All optional, of course. Firstly, let's make our way to the DLC. Entering the DLC requires you to beat both Star Scourge Radahn and Mohg, Lord of Blood. So Radahn wasn't that big of a challenge, he went down pretty quickly. However, Mohg proved to be quite a formidable opponent. His 80% fire resistance wasn't doing me any favors either. I resorted to doing unholy things to him. I cheesed him. Look, I just wanted to go to the DLC and not deal with his 80% fire resistance bullshit. I already dealt with Renala's 80% magic resistance before and don't want to know what kind of horrors Mohg's 80% fire resistance would be. After Mohg's totally legit kill, I consensually, hopefully, touched Miquelesting and got banished to the Shadow Realm. Still being unfamiliar where all the Scadutree fragments are, I got a map from Vextra Life that showed me all the Scadutree fragment locations, and some pathing you could take. Additionally, it showed if you needed to kill a main boss or not. So I decided to get as many fragments before I had to deal with any boss. I also learned that Miquelesting's Great Rune has to be broken before he can enter the Stone Coven Fissure. So I did other stuff and the fanboy destroyed his own Great Rune. I entered the Shadow Keep where I saw a guy casually destroying a table. Why? I don't know. What is his vision? We will never know. Anyways, I made my way to the top of the Shadow Keep but decided that Messmer could wait for now. I instead went to the Jagged Peak for the 2 Scadutree fragments that can be found there. Hahaha, dumb hippo, what are you gonna do now? Oh, I guess you can do that? Well, after all that, I decided to challenge the Golden Hippo, since it does drop 2 Scadutree fragments. Having slain the hippo, a little bird told me that there was another Lord of Frenzied Flame. I cannot accept that. There can be only one, and that is me. Yuri was the most annoying piece of shit in his fights. I couldn't close the gap, he'd teleport away. His continued barrage of spells kept me at a distance as well. And then there's the super fats. They were huge shields for Yuri, which blocked some of my frenzied bursts. Surprisingly, the fight didn't take that many attempts to beat, despite there being pretty much no openings for me to attack. I immediately grabbed the 3 Scadutree fragments in the forest and made my way to the manor. There, another Lord of Frenzied Flame awaited. As much as I wanted to beat him, I had to wait. I wasn't strong enough. I returned to the Shadow Keep, where I challenged Commander Gaius, as he guards 5 Scadutree fragments. Gaius had some fun things in his fight, like a one-shot move. Very fun. Gaius also had a lot of moves that could stagger me, which I thought was surprising since Iron Jar gives me tier 4 hardness. With Gaius down, I got the 5 Scadutree fragments I needed and tried fighting Midra. It did not go well. So instead of beating my head against the wall, I decided to grab some Great Runes. I got Morgoths and Redans, just in case I might need some more HP. Now that I have some Great Runes in my possession, I made my way to Romina, who I steamrolled. And with Romina's defeat, I went back to Midra, where he steamrolled my ass again for the next 2 hours. So I decided to change my strat a bit. Instead of Unendurable Frenzy, I went to just the Flame of Frenzy, since it does more poise damage and can be buffed by more talismans. A couple of tries later, and by a stroke of luck, one Lord of Frenzied Flame remains. Me. Now that I have no competition for the title of Lord of Frenzied Flame, Messmer was next on the chopping board. After all, I needed his Kindling to proceed. Messmer's first phase was pretty easy. I just bait him as close to the Fokit and go wild on him. But phase 2 was a whole lot harder. He's more agile, aggressive, and more snake too. And my dumbass forgot to summon the Hornset at the end of the fight, so I'll have to deal with him too in Enir Ilim. But how hard could that be? Enir Ilim, the DLC's final area. I love how cool this place looks. Preferences aside, I maxed out my Scadutree blessing at 20. With my blessing maxed, I made my way to Leda's gang. With everything I did, I had to face the Hornsent, Dryleaf Dane and Needle Knight Leda. You will always face Dane and Leda, but Hornsent is optional, and he is also the worst. He one-shot me a couple of times with his Horned Bairn. This also makes me ask the question, why he Dex Sword when Int and Faith good? I really wanted to only use Inescapable Frenzy, but Hornsent and Dane weren't making this a fun endeavor. Hornsent with his Atomic Horned Bairn and Dane with his very fast attacks. So I went back to the old reliable and dealt with them that way. And now we made it to the final event. Radan's soul in Mohg's body, together with the Miquelester. I had to put an end to the Miquelester no matter what. However, Promised Consort did have some moves that would insta-kill me thanks to Iron Jar making me pretty much immobile. I did resort to giving myself a bit more HP with the Crimson Medallion +2 and Morgoth's Great Rune, as some of his combos still did a lot of damage. I also used the Fire Knight's helmet, and I gotta say, I'm glad that thing isn't white. Eventually, after a little while, I managed to kill Promised Consort without making him do the cool meteor he does at low HP.
I promise you, 1,000-year voyage guided by compassion.
And that was the Frenzy DLC run. I hope you enjoyed. This run was pretty fun, although I'm actually quite disappointed that Midra's Flame of Frenzy is just bad. I had high hopes for that incantation, as I really wanted to use that during the final battle, but when I tested it out against other bosses, I found out that its DPS doesn't come close to Unendurable Frenzy. Midra's Flame of Frenzy also has the balls to ask for 2 spell slots. However, the good thing about that incantation is that you look cool as fuck when casting it. And that's probably why I really love that incantation. And that was it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment and or subscribe if you enjoyed. I need to go now. Bye.